for this 5 to 7 minute speech, Renee Stevens. Renee.
Okay. Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, tonight I'd like to share with you the surprising secret to weight loss. The surprising secret to weight loss is, of course, not what you're expecting. Most of us, when we think about losing weight, we think, okay, I need to deprive myself, I need to control my portions, I need to discipline myself. All this adds up to no fun. In fact, the secret to lasting weight loss is kindness. And by kindness, I mean turning your inner critic into your inner ally. Kindness, fortunately, is a whole lot more fun than being an inner critic. For example, I have a client, and she is a mother of 2 girls, ages 11 and 12, and her 12-year-old was having a birthday party. Being a good and caring mother, she decided that she would bake a special cake for her daughter, a chocolate cake with chocolate frosting, her very favorite. She made these special cinnamon rolls for her daughter and all of her daughter's friends. The daughter was going to have a mega sleepover with 8 of her friends. So she went out shopping in the morning, she bought all of the ingredients, she carefully prepared this special cake for her daughter. Now, she told me that in the past, because she's always wanted to lose weight, she's always been up and down the scale, on this diet and that diet, normally she'd tell herself, okay, you can bake the special cake for your daughter, but you mustn't have any cake yourself. This time, instead, she decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and allow myself to have some of the cake and some of the cinnamon roll. So the girls came over, she served the cake, then when she had a moment, she took a lovely slice of the cake for herself, sat down, smelled it, appreciated the beauty of it and the care that went into it, savored the chocolate cake, enjoyed it, and felt satisfied when she was done. Similarly, later the next morning, when she had an opportunity, she had one of these freshly baked cinnamon rolls, sat down, savored the cinnamon roll, and enjoyed it, and really appreciated the experience for herself, feeling satisfied and content that she had kindly allowed herself this experience of fun and enjoyment to participate with her daughter. So kindness is much more fun than discipline and deprivation. I can tell you that I personally, as some of you know, have had my own weight struggle. And on my own struggle, I have been on many diets. I've done a lot of self-discipline, a lot of self-deprivation, and it's only led to more misery. So about 14 years ago, I quit my corporate job and decided that I was going to dedicate myself to helping other people and their weight struggle, which is why I started this career in the first place. Over the years, I've really helped thousands of people end their own weight struggle, and this was one of my clients. I'll tell you another example of why kindness is an important element in lasting weight loss. Kindness is also motivating. Think about it. Think about children. How do we motivate children? In the olden days, it was the nun with the ruler, slap across the hand, stop that, don't do anything. My own son, James, when he was in first grade, was sent to the principal's office because he was misbehaving in class. He was moving around, he was really active, and when it came time to sit crisscross applesauce and learn, he'd pull his little hoodie over his hood and shrink back into his seat. And the teacher said, James isn't paying attention, James is too active when he shouldn't be active, and you need to do something. We think that we should put him on a behavior contract and punish him for not behaving well. Turns out that James was actually struggling with reading, and the reason that he was so active and the reason that he was withdrawing is that he couldn't understand exactly what was going on. So when we understood what the challenge was for James and brought some kindness to him so that he could learn, he could be taken through the basics of reading without feeling like he was failing, he became calmer in class and actually started to learn to read. So kindness is much more motivating. The third thing about kindness is that not only is it motivating, not only is it much more fun, but kindness works. I'd like to tell you about a client of mine named Joe. Joe is a computer programmer, or was a computer programmer, living just outside of central London. And every morning he would get on his bicycle, he would ride 10 miles through the cold and the fog and the drizzle to his office. He'd work all day, and at the end of the day, he'd get back on his bicycle, ride another 10 miles home through the cold and the drizzle and the fog. I've lived in London, as you may be able to tell, and he would get home, he would be exhausted. But he was absolutely determined to get his project management qualification so that he could earn more money and advance in his career. So he set himself a rigorous schedule. Every night, he was to spend 3 hours focused on learning the material and preparing for the project management exams that he wanted to take. What ended up happening is he would get home, he was exhausted. He'd cycled 20 miles, he'd already worked a solid day, dinner would happen, and he would just keep snacking. He'd collapse onto the sofa and he'd keep eating, and he never got any of his studying done. And he was so mad at himself night after night. So every time he got mad at himself, he would put even more pressure on himself. Well, I can't get away with 3 hours. Now to meet the deadline, I gotta do 3.5 hours a night. I'm gonna do it tomorrow for sure. And he might do it one night, but then he'd go back right into his old ways the next night. We worked together and discovered that he was actually feeling too much pressure. He had to acknowledge for himself that by the end of the day, he was exhausted. He'd cycled 20 miles, he worked all day. How about giving himself a break? So he started to take some time at the end of the day, relax, play with his kids, take some downtime, eat his meal with his family, and enjoy himself. And then he decided that he would, instead of focusing 3 to 3.5 hours of hardcore work and more on the weekends, he'd spend half an hour to an hour each night reviewing the material and preparing for his exam. He became kinder to himself and more understanding of the value of enjoying his life. It took him a little bit longer, but Joe was able to finish his exam and advance to the next level of his work. So kindness is motivating. So remember, the next time that you want to beat yourself up and tell yourself that you're too fat and you shouldn't eat this and you shouldn't eat that, try kindness instead. Turn your inner critic into your inner ally. It's more fun, it's more motivating, and it works. And I'll leave you with a quote from the Dalai Lama, who said, "My religion is kindness." Thank you.